The first voice we'll hear from is Isaac Quiroz, a third-year student at Ryerson. He was born in Toronto to Mexican parents, and growing up, spent almost every summer in Mexico with his family. Let's hear what he had to say.
I like Mexican food a lot. It's just finding it here is just not the same, obviously. My mom cooks at home a lot. But Mexican food at home is like sometimes, not really that often, but we have a lot of Mexican ingredients. We eat a lot of like tortillas and like beans, rice, and all that. So arrachera is it's kind of like steak. You have some chilies on the side, and you put the rice, have rice, beans, and some avocado on the side. It's just all like a mix up. It's really good. There's these things called chapulines. They're just grasshoppers. And they're. I mean,
Are they big?
No, it's a jar. It's a jar.
Okay,
They send them in jars. Yeah. They're fried grasshoppers, and like munch on them basically. And my home food, my mom's house.
Yeah.
The second voice we'll hear is Bianca Garfias, a graphic designer here in Toronto. Both of her parents are Mexican, but Bianca was born in the United States and came to Canada just 3 years ago. Here's what she had to say.
Not as much as I would like to, just because sometimes I don't have the time to cook. But when I go back home, either to the States or Mexico, yes. My favorite thing to eat is just my mom's food. So in Mexico, most of the cooking was done by my mom. She would do all the shopping and all the cooking. My dad would work and my mom would make the food. And then on Wednesdays, we would go to my grandma's house on my dad's side. And then on Sundays, we go to my grandma's house on my mom's side. So, and even then, it was always my grandma's cooking. It's very gender over there. At least it was when I was over there, that the female always did the cooking. Now, when I moved to the States, it divided it up. My dad would do half of it, and then my mom would do the other half, like even the shopping. When my dad cooks, he doesn't cook Mexican food. He rarely does. He just experiments his own thing, whatever it comes out. But when my mom cooks, she does cook traditional Mexican food. As silly as it sounds, like my comfort food, I think will always be quesadillas. Just like a really good tortilla and a really good cheese, just melted. And that's pretty good for me. Like, that was probably one of the first things I learned how to make, just because it's very easy, but still very satisfying in a way, even though it's just a tortilla and cheese. I really actually like it. Like, I was in Chicago prior to being here, and I always say that Chicago and Toronto are pretty similar, but the biggest difference in Toronto is that the cultures are more integrated.
Our final voices are Gerardo and Yvonne Barbola, a husband-wife duo that produce chorizo for wholesale and have a delicious food truck that you can find at local farmers markets.
Okay, so we started our journey from Mexico to Canada around 13 years already. We were invited by the government of Alberta at that time to develop some products with lamb meat. At that time, Alberta was one of the biggest producers of spring lamb. But the problem is that Canadians don't know how to eat lamb. So my husband in Mexico, he used to have a big ranch of lamb production. And so he met in Montreal, and that's when they start talking. And like always, we end up talking about food. When you're around any Mexican person, everything has to be around food, everything.
The initial diet for the Mexican people is 4 things. It's corn,
basically.
It's vegetables, beans, and obviously peppers. If the people making home the Mexican diet, I think is the best one.
There's a thing that I want to say that being in this business after the restaurant and now being as a street food vendor, it is really important to notice that most of the food that we serve is the same food that we eat. Years having chorizos every day, and myself cooking chorizos every day. If you ask me what I had yesterday at home, I have scrambled eggs with chorizo.
So let me tell you something else. Many people look my wife when it's cooked in the farmer market in Evergreen. And the people say, wow, you are magic for cook.
Yeah.
Because my wife have everything when my wife is in the kitchen, make with love. And the people, when they take simple quesadilla, the quesadilla is the tortilla, cheese and chorizo, it's simple. The people take, oh, Jesus, so delicious. And it's because it's made with love,
Plus
good ingredients.
Yes, most of them they cook. My daughter Sarah, the one that is in here, she used to be cooking all the time with me in the restaurant, so she learned a little bit. The only thing that she has more the Canadian influence, so she eats many things that we don't. For example, Chinese food she loves, we don't. So yeah, those.
She's Canadian.
But for example, we have the opportunity that she came this weekend. And I make Mexican food, or my normal food, or whatever. And she was like, oh my God, I missed it so much. Many women before, like myself, I used to stay at home and I raised my kids, and I was the one that was cooking for my family all the time. My kids, the lunch for breakfast for them at school and everything, it was prepared by me. Now that has changed, and now everything is working, and it's a competency between men and women. Moms, they will go to Costco and grab, all these snacks that are problematic. So yeah, then we're starting around like 10 years from now, we start having a little bit of problem with obesity in kids. Mexican gastronomy is so rich because we have the very big influence from the native gastronomy, which is involving 100% the corn. When the Spaniards came to Mexico, Mexico was the port of all the, the shipments and everything that will go to all America. A lot of influence from China we have in our food, starting from the rice that we eat. It was coming from India. We have all these spices coming from India. We use cumin.
The Middle East.
The Middle East. You can be amazed. You can be amazed of sitting down and having a very traditional dish from Mexico and then go to Middle East and have a taco made with pita. We love to party. That's the thing that we Mexicans have. We want to celebrate every time we want to celebrate something. It's just an opportunity to be celebrating something. When the time of it's cold, like the weather is cold, we have like the hot punch, which is made with mandarin, tamarind, hibiscus, plum, apple, cinnamon, cane sugar, and the guava, everything together, just like a big cider. And we put a little bit of alcohol. That's the punch part. That's the nice part. But more of the tradition of eating tamales is the tradition that it's part of December festivities with the family. Family will gather together.
And make on all the family.
All the women and the men start stirring, Well, now they use the mixer, but no, before they used to have a big pot and you have to do it by hand. Another thing, the Day of the Dead, for example, we do a special bread, which is a normal kind of a bread, but the little things that they put on top, like the decoration, it's made with the same dough. It's basically the bones, of the skeleton. And part of the tradition is making special dishes for the dead people, your people that has been died. For example, if your dad will love the enchiladas, you will make that day a plate of enchiladas and you put it into an altar, offer him, because we have the belief that at that day they will come down, eat their food, and stay with you for a moment. not true. If you have a tortilla and you put anything, you put lettuce, tomato, that's a taco. That's a vegetarian taco. Everything that goes in a tortilla is a taco.
In corn.
In corn.
In corn tortilla.
If is put in a flour tortilla, anything, lettuce or tomatoes, wrap in a tortilla, is a burrito. We love Canada. Canada has opened us the doors really nicely, really well.
It's a beautiful land.
I believe it's more because how we came up here. We came invited by the government, so our status and our experience has been different than many other people. We miss Mexico, yes. If it's in the ocean, no problem, because we're eating nice and we're just resting.
You take a beer and look at the ocean and
Yeah, and what happens is you go there, they get so excited to see you. After the second week, they're just like, go home, you know?
yeah, this country for me, it's now is my home.
Yeah.
Now is my home, Canada, because I live here for 13 years, and I have a beautiful life. I have a good business. I have my family here, and I am one Canadian more, no?
There's another thing that
And I love this country, sure.
There's another
100%.
thing that I don't regret about being in Canada, and I will do it again if I had to do it again. It's my daughter, but the little one, because seeing the opportunities that she has in this country compared to the ones that my kids in Mexico have, even that it was their choice to be there, they're huge. The difference, it's a big gap. Made an amazing dish called chiles en nogada, which basically represents the three colors of our flag, which is red, white, and green. So it's this long poblano pepper stuffed inside with ground beef, prepared with different kinds of things, and it's in between sweet and salty, the stuffing. And then it comes with a very nice white sauce made with pecans.
Oh.
And then on top, they will put seeds, no, not seeds, I don't know how you call it, the pomegranate, the little dots of the pomegranate on top.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most fancy gourmet dish that you will find in Mexico. It's just an amazing dish.
So delicious.
Again,
Look at my pepper. Do you know the nachos? The nachos is invention
it's an invention.
with one Mexican. In this part of Mexico, have is famous because come too many people from US to hunting deers. And in December, in winter time, no? And in this restaurant come the classical Americans, rich Americans. Hey, I need a margaritas, or I need the classical, no? And in this time, don't have nothing for put in Mexico is more in the bars. It's more common put botanitas is the same
Like snacks.
snacks, and you drink and take peanuts or take whatever.
A nacho.
No? Nachos. And these guys don't have nothing. And the others say, go to the kitchen and say, hey, I the Americans, I need something for the table. What do you make? Oh, Jesus, don't worry, I make it now. And this guy, the name is Nacho, cut the corn tortillas
Corn chips.
in squares. Cut the corn tortillas, you fry it, put the salt, and put in one plate. And what is this, Nacho? Nachos. Okay, I know. Jesus, what is that? What is that? This is the history for the nachos. Exactly the same with the Caesar salad, born in Tijuana, Baja California.
Caesar salad is Mexican as well.
It's
yeah?
Mexican.